Children of the night, what music they make.
What is up? What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Blood Splatter Chatter. We are here at the finale of FangFest. We've done 5 weeks of vampire talk, and we are finishing off with a double feature. We're doing Let the Right One In, and let's just pretend I own the other one. A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. Which I almost bought, but I ended up just getting it for free on Kino with a free subscription. What up, Rogue? Popping in early. And of course, since it is Thursday night, I got the crew with me, the regular fellas, Missing Link, and the not so missing Stu. So what up, my brothers? Thanks for being here, of course.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Excited. This is a little fun fact. You know I like to use my I live life of a pirate. But oddly enough, I found both of these movies on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
One of them is not a legal upload, and but it's still up there. But the other one is one of the free movies on YouTube.
Hell yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah, you got it. It's completely legitimate ways.
YouTube has some bangers right now. Like Thief by Michael Mann was free on YouTube. Like they got some bangers out there.
They might be better than like Netflix and shit. Whoever's curating like YouTube's free stuff, their movies and shows, they've got like you got all the Cornetto trilogy on there right now, like Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, At the End of the World. Like it's a lot of great stuff on. Yeah,
they've been stepping their game up.
That's awesome. I like YouTube is always, I'll catch my wife watching a movie. I'll be like, what is this? She'll be like, I don't know. It just came on after this thing I was watching on YouTube all the time. And she'll just watch it, whatever the fuck it is. But all right, let's dive into it. First of all, I think I said what's up to Rogue. Oh, I was about to say the other one is what up, Stu? What's going on, brother? But we got Josiah, the chillest guy. I love your fucking name. What up, man? I appreciate you being here. Rogue saying FangFest has been great. You don't know how much I appreciate that, brother. So I'll just pull this up now since we are at the end of it. I feel like this has been, I've loved it. I love doing these things where we kind of narrow in on a subgenre and spend like a month on it. We did it with zombies last year in January. And this is what we've done so far. And I feel like what we did, other than Nosferatu 2024, is we've kind of went through the decades. And I hadn't seen these two. I hadn't seen Let the Right One In, and I hadn't seen A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. I'd heard good things. I assumed that they were what they are. And now after watching them, it's like so perfect. It's just like, I think the 2008 one, Let the Right One In, is kind of definitive of that. It came out in the era of torture porn, like right in the heat of torture porn. But it might be like the first entrance, and I'm going to say a dirty word, into the elevated horror era. This is like before Black Swan. It's way before Hereditary and Midsummer and all those that came out in the 2010s. But it feels way more like a 2010s elevated horror movie than what a lot of what you're getting in 2008. But yeah, and then check it out. Go check out the other ones we did. Fright. But it's been fun, man. And as I said, my first watch, I want this leave. I can't get it to leave. Oh, what in the fuck? Let me see. Does it go for? There it goes. Let the Right One In. First time watch for me. Loved it. I'll just say that. I fucking loved it. I adored it. I heard that it's not, neither of these are like really hardcore horror movies in the least bit. I'd say Let the Right One In definitely has more, like quite a bit more horror than the second one we'll talk about. It's a Swedish film. Both these are foreign films. And I think it just like made such a cool, the vibe. It's all about vibe and atmosphere. And it's about the stillness. It's like a very quiet film. The camera's just gliding around. What they do, for those that have never seen the film, it's basically the young man on the right lives in Sweden in this like little apartment complex. The girl moves in. They're both lonely souls. She turns out to be a vampire. And it's really a story about friendship more than anything else, and about connection. Which connection is the theme that runs through both these movies, like pretty big time. Lonely souls looking for a connection. But I loved it. Had you seen it, Steph? Link?
I had seen this. I just want to say real quick. Other horror channels, they go out with a whimper, but over here we go out with a bang. Yeah. Yeah. No, I've seen this before. I'd seen it after I'd seen the remake Let Me In, just
Okay,
because
yeah.
I seen Grace Moretz in Kick Ass. If this was like 2010, I'd seen her in that, and I was like, oh, she's playing a vampire. That looks pretty interesting. So I'd seen that, and also I knew it was Matt Reeves, director of Cloverfield. I've always been a big fan of that.
Mhm.
So after I seen Let Me In, I saw it was a remake. So I was like, oh, let me track down the original. So I believe I saw the OG around like 2011. But I loved it. I love both of them. Not to compare and contrast too
No, that's
much.
cool.
I love
Which one do
both
you
of
like
them.
better? I do want to know.
I think they do different things. Like the second one, I don't know if it's because Matt Reeves.
Mhm.
It's more. I've noticed he's got a thing for camera angles and lighting and stuff like that, and that really shines in the remake. Let Me In.
Mhm.
Um, like even not to get too far ahead, like the pool scene, same thing, but so the effect of it is more poignant or impactful in the Matt Reeves one. Like there's more pizzazz style to it.
I can see
Um,
that.
yeah, but there's certain subplots they didn't follow. Like the remake's more focused on the relationship. Um, but I do feel like, oddly enough, I feel like their connection or their relationship shines more in this one than it does in
Hmm.
the remake. It feels a little bit more forced in the remake.
Right.
But I like them for different reasons. I think they're both, the remake's almost a shot for shot remake. It does
Okay.
deviate a bit, but for the most part, it's like the same shit. If anything, it trims down the fat a little bit. But I love this film. I think it's it. Both of these films are like unique. They kind of a lot of horror vampire films will explore like kind of the glamorousness of being a vampire, and you never age, you always look youthful, and this and that. These are kind of explore like the lonely solitude of being a vampire. Like
Right.
you never find a vampire, everyone kind of like Wolverine. Everyone he knows is always
Right.
gonna. They can't make connections because this person's gonna pass away. It's like the same shit. They become cold to that. So I did like the this one is a little. We'll get into it, but it's just like how long has she been finding little dudes to
Right.
go with her, and
It's super ambiguous on like so many fronts. That's
yeah,
one thing that has me curious, and I don't know how well you remember it, and we'll get into it as we go. But like so many unanswered questions in this one, her past, her connection with her father type figure that's with her, the dude that's out there killing people for her. Like, do you remember off the top of your head? Is that kind of explained a little bit more? Have you seen it, Stu, by the way?
so
No, no.
in the remake, I think they gave a little bit more backstory, unless I missed it. But they kind of gave you more as to how long she had been with the old dude. Like pretty much, she had found him as a little boy. Like this kind of what she
Mm,
did.
that's the
Oscar.
story I had to put in my head. Just because he's an old
Yeah.
dude, I'm like, he's been with her
Mhm.
forever. And then, like some of the sacrifice that he makes for her, I was
Yeah.
like, either her father or he's been with her forever. And I don't get
Yep.
father vibes. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
yeah, that's kind of indicative of a foreign film compared to a remake or an American film. Is that they're not going to tell you. They don't need
Would
it.
you? Speaking of, would you have wanted like so? In the, I kind of I did like it because I mean you can put it together in the OG, but in the remake I thought it was like a cool effect because like in the remake, spoiler, the Oscar kid finds a photo of them together, and it's like the older dude was wearing something in the photo, and
Mhm.
then he saw the girl and she looks the same obviously, but then he saw like this pendant or something
Mm,
I've been wearing. He's like, oh shit, like he's been with you for like his whole life, like
right.
70 years. Um,
That's oh, this
but
is interesting. Johnny Recaps, appreciate you being here, by the way. Says in the book, which is based on a 2004 book, the familiar or the father figure is a pure pedophile.
I could definitely
Interesting.
see that. Yeah,
That
because they,
that's a different dynamic to be mixed in with that. That's really fucking
Yeah, that's wild.
Dark.
What that's the but I it is, but I was gonna say if he was a little boy who was with her since he grew up just loving her, like it's
That's
still
fucked up.
weird. Oh, but
That's
yeah,
a wild dynamic to put into
yeah,
a book. That's really I could see why they wouldn't have put it into a movie, but I could see it being interesting. As fucked up as it is,
yeah.
it's an interesting
It's an
dynamic in the book. SoCal Daniel, son of a bitch, says a girl like was so unique and moody. Very good movie. I agree, man. It's another
Oh,
one
yeah.
I had not seen that
art
Stu
house.
offered up for us. So speaking of Stu, brother, what did you think?
Yeah, I loved it. It was not my first time watch. I kind of rediscovered watching it. You know, I got that familiar since I had seen it before when it was starting out, and then yeah, certain moments really started to hit home with me. Yeah, I love it, man. I think with both of these movies, setting location plays is such a character in itself. And this one I really love the snow, the cold, the isolation, the just like the clinical hollowness of like so many of those rooms and the apartments, and yeah, and it just like you said, man, it's the loneliness was pervasive in these two kids trying to find connection. You know, Lucas's story, especially with parents that really wanted nothing to do with him. He kept getting passed back and forth, and you know, some of those scenes with his father were super touching, where you know he was trying to figure out who his dad was and what his place was in this world, and just kind of watching him navigate his way, and these two eventually kind of grow closer and closer together was just beautiful. It was so well done. I love the relationship. I'm glad that they didn't bring that part of the book in though, because I thought that the relationship with the old man was amazing. I could definitely see that dynamic of him being around like since childhood, and I just thought like that scene at the hospital was so powerful, man. At the window when he was crying, and you know he had that acid all over his face. It was just that was like one of the best scenes of the movie, and I really loved that short but beautifully complex relationship between the two of them. But yeah, man, it's a fantastic film. I love the pool scene as well. It's you know
I need to see
that's
this.
one of my
This
favorite. I
other
love
one.
the feet in the water, just getting.
Well,
You know, they did such a good job in this movie of getting the vampire across without showing you the vampire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they did a really good job on a limited budget in what they chose to show you and spend money on.
Totally.
But I thought that was really well executed throughout the movie.
Hell
Anyway,
yeah.
sorry, what were you gonna say?
No. Well, I mean, shit. I was gonna say I was debating. I'm like, shit. Should I just save this thought till the end when we get to the pool? But fuck it. I'm really curious to see the remake, because like what this movie does, like the way the style of the movie is like these slow shots that gives you time to think about what you're seeing and then what you're maybe about to see. You know what I mean? So like him under the water in the pool, I'm sitting there thinking like, oh, what the fuck? You know what I thought was gonna happen is that the arm was still gonna be holding his hair, and all of a sudden like it was gonna be detached from the body and he was gonna float away with the arm. But it's a very similar thing. But
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I like that he gives you the time to think. There's another moment where he's in the bathroom. That guy comes and tries to kill Ellie, and he backs away and he goes to close the door. And it happened so slow that I had time to think like, oh, why didn't I'm like, first of all, that's cool. He just backs away and closes the door. And then it's like it's cracked. I'm like, oh, why doesn't he close it all the way? And then I'm like, oh, wait, we're gonna see something. And then we see a little like her attacking him through the crack. And like all that time that you have to think about that is unique to this movie. And like I think foreign films a lot of times in general, because we don't do that in America, good or bad. It's just a different style.
They do linger in the remake. Speaking of that, this one, the OG feels more clinical. I'd say the whole look feels more clinical, and bright, where the remake is a little bit more saturated. I guess you could say it's Zack Snyder. It's more moody, saturated with the colors. Like, okay, so in the remake, like when the pool scene, there's more camera movement. Like instead of it being such a still static shot, you see things happening in the background. The camera is kind of kinetic, and there's energy to the movement going on. So
Right.
more Hollywood, you know, like more Michael Bay, but it works. It doesn't take away. They're just different beasts. Two sides.
I've heard nothing but good things about it. I hear most
Yeah,
people say that they prefer the original, but I've never heard anyone say like, "Oh, that fucking remake, they should have never done that." Like, people have general positive things to say about it. Just like they have about Christina Payne. I don't know if I said it out loud. I was just signaling to you, but what up, man? Everybody in the chat, appreciate the hell out of you people. But Stu, did you have more that you wanted to say before we move on?
We're gonna move on from the movie entirely.
No, no, I didn't know if you were in the middle of your whole thoughts.
No, go ahead.
You guys had both brothers, and this is one thing. Like when I watched the movie, I was like, when you see like, I don't want to sound like a fucking American snob, but they're thinking, does it look like it's the past just because it's in Eastern Europe? You know what I mean? Or is it the past?
I thought that's a good question because
in the 80s.
It's 1982 is what the director said. So
okay.
Like, okay. I wasn't sure. But part of that is he described it this way. And I had to look into this. He was like, Sweden at the time was half behind the Iron Curtain. Exactly mean. And he was basically like, they were in a situation where they were like trying to play both sides, like in to their own interest, out of fear, more or less. Like they had Russia on one side and Europe and America and the West on the other. And they were trying to like keep trade relationships good with everybody, but they had a lot of like kind of communistic social institutions and shit like that, which lead to a clinical society when you have like all this over regulation by the government, all these social programs that seem like a good thing, but that's what I think he's trying to portray is like this clinical, lonely, desolate place, which is why it works better set in 1982. If Oscar could fuck off on Fortnite all day, then he doesn't need Ellie. And none of you know what I mean? None of this matters. If he has a phone, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool. And just like the setting in general. You guys both mentioned it. That's one of my favorite things. Small town, the snow, the look. But
yeah.
Oh no, I can't remember if the remake takes place, if it's like updated. I believe it is. But he's still like he's more or less the same kid. Like he doesn't. Okay. I find him to be a little bit more odd in the remake because I'm like, I guess I assumed when I saw it, it was like took place in the 2010s or so. I'm thinking like, why don't you weird ass go play a video game or something, bro? Like, why are you
right? Is it in America? I know I'm asking you a lot about the remake.
All right, yeah, we got killing me, dude.
You'll be all right. You'll be all right.
Yeah, it is. It is in America.
So anyway, about the remake, let's talk about Matt Reeves' career. No, I'm just joking. I think Oscar's like the highlight. I don't know. I like all the characters, really, the performances, but he's kind of the one we spend the most time with. I think he's great. He's just such a weird little shit, and just like the way that we're introduced to him, squeal like a pig, and like I don't know. I bet we could all take ourselves back to moments in our youth where we were fantasizing about fucking some kid up on the playground. Or, you know what I mean? Things like that. It's just like when you're a kid, you fantasize so much more. And it's so vivid and like enjoyable. Like I remember just fantasizing the fucking day away when I was a kid. But that's why I like him so much. It's just how desperate he is. And just her reaction when she sees him. Like, we can't be friends. And it's just kind of perfect.
Yeah, it's great. I love the will you go steady with me conversation on the bed. Like how genuinely happy he is, man. That's such a believable, authentic, sincere scene. I love that. And then like also, dude, it got freaky as hell when she didn't get invited into the apartment and started leaking blood out of everything.
Yes.
That was wild as shit. That was a scene I was not ready for. That's
like the best part of the movie. I love sitting there thinking about someone being like, what can we do with a vampire? Super familiar tropes that hasn't been done. Vampires need to invite themselves in. Well, what happens if they don't? Like, can they not just get in? Like, it was such a cool scene.
Yeah, it was. I love the little like noises they gave her too.
Yeah,
like throughout the like when it was whether she was like after she they went down into the little like forbidden older kid spot and he cut his hand and she started drinking the blood and like was all feral and climbed up the tree and that like little cat noise she was making as she you could tell she was on the hunt. And also when homeboy found her in the bathtub sleeping, I just like I don't know, it was like the way they kind of built her vampire, so to speak, was
totally
really interesting.
I felt like that was a very much a Dracula nod. Like in every Dracula movie, there's a bit where Dracula's sleeping in the coffin and someone's on the hunt to go kill him and sneak up and kill him while they're sleeping. And now we're on the other side of that. We're like, this motherfucker's gonna kill our vampire. Like that was like those are two of my favorite scenes. That bit and then the other one that you just mentioned that I'm having a hard time. The invite you in part is amazing.
The motivation for that dude. They do have a scene like that. Like I said, it's pretty much shot for shot. But the motivation and the role that dude plays when he finds her in the bathroom in the remake makes a little bit more sense as opposed to the dude.
See, I can see it being spelled out more. That's one thing I liked about this is that you just don't like right off the bat. Like one of the first scenes that we see is they just show this guy pissing outside of her window. Then he looks up all curious, and they take so long with that shot that you're like, well, this is super important.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, he has his friend that gets killed, and he's, you know what I mean? He's on the prowl for her, but it's just like in the background. It's just something that's kind of subtly happened that you don't know if it's going to lead to anything.
I don't know if that's necessarily being spelled out in the American version. Well, it's a cop and he's investigating all this shit. You know, makes more, it ties into the story more where this has got it, but he's an asshole neighbor. Then you got in this one, you got the weird guy with the fucking cats. Like there's a bunch of people who kind of knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Anything. And the guy that they off in this one is kind of, to be honest, he deserved it. He was kind of a dick. To some degree. I don't say he deserved that, but it's like he was kind of an asshat. Where I don't know, it was just like he was some neighbor dude that was like, it's almost like some Disturbia shit, you know. It's like some curious neighbor, some shit going on.
I love the old man witnessed that, you know, her killing that dude, and he just sat on that shit. Like he couldn't even believe a little girl. He's like, I don't even know what I saw. And I love like anytime she attacked, she was just a little 12-year-old spider monkey. You know what I mean? Right. Like she wasn't. Right, yeah. We didn't get any like super brutal physical vampire kills. She was just jumping on dudes' backs and going ham. It was.
I loved it. Yeah, I mean, not to jump too far ahead of the next movie, but they were both really similar in that regard. We were just like quick, animalistic, like cat. I think you mentioned earlier, like a cat sound. Both of them, both these female vampires in these movies. Like in the second one, or A Girl Walks Home at Night, she's like purrs at one point. She's like growling at that kid and shit, and sounds super demonic. Oh, that makes me think of when Ellie, like we hadn't even seen her yet, I don't think. We just hear her voice talking to her father figure. And she's pissed off about the blood, and she sounds like demonic as fuck then. I thought that was really cool to hear her before we saw her. Sal saying the remake is in New Mexico. Please tell us more. Stu, just actually any details on the remake, just send it to @Dr.
I gotta see if it's got Chloe. If it's got my girl. If it's got my girl in it, though, I gotta peep it.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to see it.
Like I want to see her as a vampire.
Sal saying I like the side plot of the other lady turning into a vampire, burning herself alive. Dude, I guess I like to see. I mean, I love the fuck out of this movie, but I'm realizing as we're going through this how many really good horror set pieces there are, because that's incredible. Her finding out she's a vampire just by like the sun touching her is awesome. The cat scene with her is sick as fuck. It's insane.
That's wild.
She lights herself on fire. That's even better. Like, yeah, this movie it doesn't hold back on the horror.
Yeah, and her getting engulfed in flames was such an epic shot, man. They did that so well.
Yeah,
so well.
I want to speak on Chloe's performance real quick. It just came to mind. Like so the contrast between the two and the actress in this one and Chloe is like, I feel like Chloe almost has that like the Dakota Fanning shit going on, where she was like an adult trapped in a kid's body since she's been a little girl. You know, like she was just clear. So you know, you seen her Hit Girl and shit. She was like 10 years old, and she just seemed very, you know, she's running around killing people, or not Hit Girl, but Kick Ass. So that like it seemed like in the remake, she came across as like an older person trying to pretend to be a kid, you know, opposed to this one where I believe she was actually just a 12-year-old girl who's been
she said, because that's a good point, because like that's a thing. Like in Near Dark, it's one of the cool things that Near Dark does is they have a kid in that, but he's not. He's like an adult, but he just looks like a kid. In this one, she specifies like, I'm always 12. Like I am 12. I'll always be 12. But then when she says some line, I can't remember exactly what it is. She's like, be me, like see me or some shit like that to him. And like, I don't know if you guys noticed it or not, but all of a sudden she's an old lady for a second. It looks like her, but it's kind of like, it's not lit very well. I had to like kind of look.
Is that what Johnny's talking about in these comments? Like
when he cut his hand and she was like licking the blood off the ground and she looked up at him for a second, she looked old.
She looked
Yeah,
crazy
yep.
there.
That's so sick. They replaced her with a 60-year-old Romanian actress.
Yes.
I got to go back and rewatch that. That's awesome.
It's so cool. So fucking cool. I think I'm mixing it up with another scene, but I think you're right. That is, or maybe they did it twice, because I kind of thought she did it when they were having that intimate moment.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about though.
Sal saying, "I like how drinking the blood makes her more feral." Yeah, reveals her true age for a second. Yeah, that's a good. I wonder if they do it twice. This is one that I only watched it once, partially because of time. The other thing is I'm starting to I don't want to ruin movies for myself anymore. If I watch something and it's a fucking banger and it's like something about the story is very clear. It's like I didn't need a second viewing to pick up, you know what I mean? It's because of the stillness and how long you spend in all these scenes. Like I get it.
True.
I remember all these scenes very well. But I didn't want to ruin it for myself, so I just did the one viewing. But you guys are. I already want to watch it again.
The trans. I see. Not what Sal said. When she attacked the blonde chick, I don't think she had transformed. You know, is it every time she drinks blood, it reveals her true age?
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they didn't. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point, dude. The other thing I wanted to ask you that you guys just made me think about. At first, I'm like, okay, well, she's pretty. The way that the movie ends, the director says it's a happy ending. We'll touch on that in a little bit. But, is she a good person? You know what I mean? And it's like, if you look at the way that they're going about killing these people, like she's having the other guy kill him for her, he's just finding random people on the fucking that are jogging and shit.
Bro's outside the boys' practice or whatever.
Yeah, it's just random. That
was a creepy scene.
That could have been done with. I love the scene where he just kills this random guy walking. I think it's really cool. It's fucking weird that he's just hanging this guy up. It's bright as shit. There's
what is this? Why does he not have he's just setting it up anywhere he can get it? It's like, bro, you gotta. A little bit more. You think he'd been doing this long enough, right? He would have
that's a good point.
A little bit more method to his madness.
Am I wrong, or does he seem a little slow?
He seems all over the place. And look, you had them little ass cups trying to catch all that little.
And he forgot the blood. He left without the blood. I was like, what are you fucking stupid?
What is going on, man?
But he's in so much shit. But he was in Cabin in the Woods. He was one of the two computer dudes, the older dude. That were making bets on the movie. The older guy, they're both, one's in his 50s, 40s at the time.
Right.
This dude could be 60s, but he reminds me I want to say, I know it's not Stanley Tucci, but they give me the same vibe. They're always just great side roles. But he played the dad role or the familiar role in the remake, and he seemed much. There's a different spin. He was more competent, I will say, because this guy seemed like he was such a they wrote him out quick. I would say that his character was more impactful in the remake than this one. He was kind of written out very quickly. Even the hospital scene, it's same scene but different ways, because I will say the hospital scene bothered me in this one, just because first of all, I was like, when did we start changing hospitals so you can't open the windows from a couple stories up? Maybe that was a thing in the 80s, but they did this in the that bugged me. But then it was there was no communication, she just kind of found out he was there, and she in the remake it was much more touching scene. She kind of bad, because she had spent so much time with him and she knew that she had to. But in this one she just
he seems to have a hard time communicating. When he's sitting there talking to her, she's all pissed off about him forgetting the blood. He's just he's just nodding and shit. So I don't know. I just take it as he's fucked up. Something wrong with him in the most polite way possible. There's something wrong with that dude. Johnny Recap saying, the way I took it, she eventually realized Oscar had serial killer tendencies and no connection to his parents, even though they'd never done anything wrong to him. That made him ideal for her.
That's interesting.
That's definitely part of it. Is she is now finding a new sire or whatever. Not sire. That's not the right term. Person, a helper, a Renfield type character to go out and do stuff. But it's played like it's a happy and it's a sweet thing. but like their future is him going out killing people for her. Let's hope that he takes the Dexter route rather than fucking the dude from before that's just randomly killing kids outside of schools and shit, or trying to.
Yeah,
You know what? I it was interesting because in the remake and this one, I definitely caught like the something's wrong with this kid. He's a little off. Like in the remake, he's just a kind of weird kid. He just like lonely, misunderstood. But in this one, it's like when he's like when they're like whipping him and shit, you know, and he's just not flinching or making sounds as he's getting like slashed and lashed in the face. I was like, it's a little off, you know. Like kids, he gets picked on, but it's like pain doesn't bother him. Like he'll get his ass kicked like to this kid. So I could definitely see him having like, and especially the way he just kind of disassociated from his parents. You know, they didn't have. I feel like they played that up more in the remake of them having a connection with, not so much, but in this one it was just like, you know, it was his relationship with his parents was kind of non-existent. And for a reason, he did try, but it almost seems like that's what I'm supposed to do. But not because he truly cared. You know, once he found someone that understood him, he was like, fuck everybody else. I found someone who understands me.
Well, I think it was, you know, it plays into it being in the 80s and the parents just don't give a fuck about the kids. Kids are supposed to go off and do their own damn thing. I love this. Sal saying the guy couldn't even kill himself right. I thought he was going to drink that acid. Now, here's the thing. I thought he was trying to kill himself. He wasn't, though. Like, this is even more him like, God, he must love the shit out of that kid, because what he was really trying to do was disfigure himself. Or at least this is what I read, is that he was trying to disfigure himself so that they couldn't connect him to Ellie, so that they wouldn't then go after her. But then he makes a sacrifice play and lets him kill her and drink her blood.
Man, you guys got to see the remake. I'm not gonna even get back into it, but that whole. I'm not gonna go into details, but the reason how that plays out with he gets caught is so much. I would say it's better in the remake because it's like, oh shit, it's really a last resort. This one, shit, bro. Wait for the kids to open the door, then brush past their ass and just take off. You know, just jet out of there. You know, he's just in the fucking corner. It's like.
It's because he's slow. The man's slow in the nicest way possible. Sal says, I think she's too reckless when picking victims. True. I think when she picks the one victim, she's like in like desperation mode. You know what I mean? She's like really hungry at that point. Too reckless when picking victims, so she's just grooming Oscar to be her new Renfield. Totally. So it could, I mean, that's the thing, is like you could look at the maker of the movie, the guy that wrote and directed it. Clearly, he doesn't view it that way. He views it as just like, I don't know. Like, what do you guys think? We can come back to hit other things, but like specifically that, like the ending, he sees it as a happy ending. I mean, I guess these two seem to be happy together, but the future of Oscar going out and killing people for her is not like necessarily pleasant to me. I think it's kind of it's not a happy or sad ending. It's probably sadder than it is happy.
Beautifully tragic.
Yeah, you could spin it as it being a happy ending. It's like this boy found someone who understands him, and they're gonna have some good years together. But it's like it's gonna end very, like Stu said, very tragic. Like, ooh, could have probably made some different life decisions, you know. Yeah, especially because it's like he's gotta look at it. She heard him. He heard her arguing with him in the apartment and stuff. Like, so it's like that's gonna be you eventually, dude. You know, like. That's your fate awaiting you. So enjoy.
Right. Hold on, baby. Hold on. I'm looking through here at the. What'd you guys think of the bullies? I thought, like, I want to make a list of like all-time greatest bullies. Most of them are going to be from Stephen King movies, but this little shit.
Yeah, you can't out yell her, bro. They were all right. I like my favorite bully moment was homeboy who got left like as the witness in the pool.
Yo, just like, sitting there
crying, bro. That was brutal. I was like, yeah.
For a second, when I first saw the scene, I was waiting for him because I thought he was like, I was waiting for his like head to fall off or something. Because man, I didn't think he was actually like she left him alive. You know, like he's sitting there. Just so still for a second, and all of a sudden you see him kind of move his head, and the scene cuts. But the other three dudes are just like, So that was
yeah. Well, that's I missed some of that. What you said. I feel like they left one of them alone. There was one of the bully friends
yeah.
that was like really remorseful the whole time. He was still doing what he was told. He was being bullied by the bully that was his friend. Is that what you think? Do you think it was him that they left alive at the end?
Yeah, it was that because he like I said, he was sitting there, and then all of a sudden, like I thought his head was gonna roll off, but he looks up after a while. That wasn't in the remake. Like that was a peculiar scene, just because it's like, why would you leave a witness? Like he still did his part, you know, like he still helped torture. He wasn't trying to help save the kid. So maybe it's because he had his, I don't know, did he have his eyes closed the whole time? Like he looked down as he heard all this
I
shit?
don't know.
And
I don't think they gave a fuck about witnesses because they were leaving no. Do know that's not the kind of pen you can write on my iPad with. This one is. They. Let me try that again. Oh fuck! I'll be right.
I'll get into one of the bully aspects. I got like It vibes, bro. You know, like the remake where he was like, I was like, Jesus, that's extreme. You know, you guys are really torturing this kid.
Yeah.
We're really ready to commit murder. Where it's like the kid was like, I'm gonna gut you like a fish for what, bro? Like Jesus, you know, he didn't do that much. They were bullies that definitely it took it to 11, just any chance they were given instead of being aggravated to that point.
Yeah, for sure. I felt so bad for him when he found his pants in the urinal, and then like I love that next shot of him like just walking back home in his boxers. It was great how they framed it too, because like the beginning of the shot, it was just from his waist up, so you didn't know what was going on, and then just it was almost comedic and like how sad it was. That poor kid. But yeah, and then like that scene on the lake when he finally whaps what was his name, Connie or whatever. I love that look on. I love the look the mother gives him when she like runs up, like she wants to say something to him, but she's kind of scared of him at the same time, like. You know, and probably thinking to herself, I don't know what my horrible son has pushed this poor kid to do it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That was super super well done, I think, on all counts.
I couldn't agree more.
I feel like to that point, that lady had to know her son was a bit of a dick. There's no way parents are like, what? My child is an ass? What? I never saw it. Like, come on now. You know it's there. So shit's like what she was gonna say. I'm mad at some kid for defending himself because my kid is a bully. You know, get out of there.
Yeah, for real though. And that, like, I don't know. At that point, you just knew like that was great. You knew at some point like they were going to become victims. It was just like it was great that kind of built up in the end, and like you didn't see them plotting. Like I like that plot at the end, how they got the teacher out of the building and all that stuff to kind of get Oscar in that position. That was dope because you kind of didn't see that coming. That was like a good
revenge
crescendo to the
Well, speaking of didn't see that coming, if I had a complaint about the movie, it's that you could see everything coming, other than maybe the brother showing up and it not be, you know what I mean, and not being him that does it at the end.
Right.
It's super predictable. I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing.
No,
but right at the beginning of the movie, you're like, okay, she's a vampire. That's the Renfield character. He's killing people for her. And if this bully is going to end up getting killed by Ellie at the end, you know what I mean? Like it's super, super predictable, but it's super satisfying at the same time. So I don't know that it needs to have the twists and turns.
Well, I mean, because it's like a coming of age story, you know, like in a sense, like a dark coming of age story.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, he's gotta rise to meet some challenges, you know, have his David and Goliath moment. Well, she was kind of the savior, but like it was predictable. But it's like with certain genre movies, you kind of expect him to hit certain beats like that. You know, it's like he's gonna have this encounter with the bully at the end, bro. Just because
right, totally. And that's the thing is like it's not something I'm consciously thinking of at the end where I'm like fuck, but I'm just like after I thought about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I totally knew everything.
My favorite like little bit of bad acting in this movie was when Lucas came up out of the water. He'd been up to there for what, like minutes. He came up, he's like breathing fine, like not gasping. He's like partly gasping for breath at all. I was like, bro, does somebody want to direct this kid a little bit better?
I couldn't agree more,
like,
man.
It's like, what is going on?
Yeah, they was just like, been holding my breath for like it reminded me. I was like, Jesus, he gave Tom Cruise a run for his money, bro, because Tom Cruise can hold his breath for a minute. And that kid just came up just completely fine, and first thing he did was smile, like doesn't care about just this brutality. Like, did he see her attack? Okay, see, he didn't see her really attack any.
We saw none of the violence, just the after effects.
Yeah, but even okay. In the bathroom scene, you know, like he kind of even turned his back to that, so he didn't really see. But it's like here, he sees her like rip limbs off and shit, and he's just like, "I'm glad to see you." I mean, she saved his life, mind you.
Yeah,
that exchange of smiles is so great, though.
He's still high. He's still high from the lack of oxygen.
Yeah, exactly. He's still
giddy. He's like, wow, 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 wow. It's one of those fucking moments. Yeah. Johnny Recap said, but Oscar's so weird and lonely, and he's ecstatic. Somebody isn't beating him up. Yeah, he didn't even care when she suggested she might not be a girl. That was interesting. How about, speaking of earlier, talking about some sensitive subjects, I could have done without them showing what she looks like pantyless. You know what I mean? Like, I think that was like a way of saying like she's asexual and she's going to remain asexual.
I didn't notice that. When did that happen?
Did you guys catch that bit? Or maybe it wasn't in the version you saw. I don't know. Did you catch it, Link?
Was she got into the bed with him?
You see her. There's a flash at her real quick. And and you see, hey, wife's home at least. And you see like she doesn't have any underwear on, and like her private area is like sealed up and like vampire-y down there. There's like black nastiness and like fucking weird. You guys didn't see that?
No, what the fuck? That's wild as hell.
Very wild. That's what I thought. Yeah. That's what I thought. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
I love that description. It's very vampire-y down there.
Well, I don't want to get any fucking specifics.
No, I feel you.
12-year-old's fucking private area. You know what I mean?
That's wild though. No, I don't know if that was in the version. And this is in that scene Blink was talking about when he asked her to go steady on the bed, or like.
I'm not 100%
okay
when it is. It might be when I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. If any of you guys down in the chat, if you've seen that in the version that you saw, because I could see it being something that's on the Blu-ray and maybe isn't on Amazon Prime or something. Maybe I don't know.
When you said sealed up, I immediately came to mind was Men in Tights, the chastity belt. Girl with the lock on it. But I missed that scene. Right? Was it like a flash or something?
Yeah, it's a quick moment where maybe you could have missed it. They don't linger on it, luckily.
Okay.
Yeah, Johnny Recap says she's an actual eunuch in the book. Yeah, she's a eunuch in the version that I saw too. Then
Johnny, did you like the book as much as you like the movie? I'm curious. I want to read this book now.
Me too.
All these juicy details.
Me too.
Sounds wild as hell.
On the ice, yeah. Till he bossed up, bro. He's like, "Get the fuck back! I got a hockey stick, bro. What do you think?" Or
he said, "You want some too, Mom? What's up? Come get knocked out like your son."
We got another one to get to. I think we've said our piece on it. I don't know if you guys any favorite moments you want to add, anything else you want to add to it. Throw it in with your overall rating. And my brother Link, what are you giving? Let the right one in.
I'm gonna give this one a solid 4.75. I think it's a cool little spin on the vampire tale. So it's a little romance coming of age story at the same time, but it kind of like, once again, both of these movies showcase it, but they showcase like the loneliness or the downside of always living forever and not really being able to make connections. Great actors, great effects. Like I think you made a great point earlier, Brennan, when you said that it was like a kind of like the start of elevated horror, especially around the era it came out in, when it was prime torture porn, for lack of a better term.
Right.
That was really selling. Like these are like Saw was in the midst of just its sixth movie, like just making money being shit. But so I And it's such a subtle movie, you know. It's very. I agree with you. I appreciate the stillness of it. Just that lets you linger and kind of collect your thoughts without rushing to some crazy scene, and it lingers with you. So I'm going to give this one a solid 4.75.
Hell yeah, man. I love it. Where are you at on it, Stu? And you guys in the chat too, out of 5, if you've seen Let the Right One In.
Man, this one was, I got to go 5 out of 5 because I just love this movie so much on the first time watch, and just revisiting it, it was that much more powerful. I think it did so many different things well, whether it's, you know, these two kids' relationships, all the supporting cast, you know, the relationships that she has with the adults in the movie, the relationships Lucas has with the adults and parents in the movie. You know, what this book says, like Vern, like you were talking about that snapshot in time and how everything's kind of over governed, but also people and things are falling through the cracks very easily. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And neglected and ignored and kind of left out in the cold. And I think this movie just has such a haunting, gorgeous loneliness about it, and in so many ways. So
scratch that, we've got a different fucking line for the title. Stu's got it.
Yeah, I got it. And Johnny, good look on the book recommendation. I got a book and another remake to watch. It sounds like.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Johnny recap for those just listening says the book blows both versions out of the water.
Oh yeah,
hell yeah, I love it.
Check it out.
Johnny recap saying after 4 to 5 viewings, I picked up a load of subtleties. 5 out of 5 for me as well. Perfect. I'll say what my brother Link likes to say. I'm going to say 4.75 with room to grow. On the first viewing, it's like no notes, but like as an emotional movie as it is, and kind of could be more emotional. I will cry at a fucking waffle commercial. Lego my ego, like, you know what I mean? Like, you get me to cry at fucking anything, or at least tear up. So the fact that I never got emotional during this movie that has all the potential, all the ingredients to make me cry, minus the waffles, then that's the only thing I can dig in. A little bit of predictability, but it is a classic, and I love it.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm super glad I bought it. Like 100%. I bought it before I'd ever watched it. So hell yeah. Sal's giving it a 4.5. And
what else has the director done? Anything else notable, or that
he did? I'll look it up. You guys will Link. You will definitely know this movie. He did right after this. Dun, 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 dun. Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy.
Oh, fuck yeah, I love that.
Gary
movie. I can totally see him. That's totally got his style all over it too.
That's what I've heard. I've heard it's even more still and even more slow.
And you talk about another movie that like that period in time, man, with communism and trying to figure out who the rat is in the house. That movie's fucking glorious. Yeah, Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman.
I saw that. I had to grow to appreciate that movie, because I'm not gonna hold you up. Like, when I saw it in theaters, I was like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. There was the action, you know. I thought that was like, you got all these guys in it. You know, like, where's the action? You know,
yeah, it puts a slow burn for sure.
You know,
that's pretty much what I heard about it. Is it's slower than this and even stiller. The one reviewer that I heard talking about this movie didn't like that one nearly as much, but said that most people love the fuck out of it. You know what I mean? So it seems like is it in English? Like, you guys are both. Is it an American like Hollywood deal?
Well, yeah, Colin Firth in it. It feels like a British production for sure. Okay, Oldman, Colin Firth. Who else is in it? Link, a bunch
Tom
of famous faces.
Gary Oldman.
Dude, it's
Benedict Cumberbatch in this bitch.
Yes, it's fantastic. It is a slow burn, but it's so good. If you like, you know, spy thrillers, man, give it a shot.
Yeah. No, that's
if you can watch Valkyrie, you can watch this movie.
Okay,
you know? And it feels very real and authentic to that time, that period in history, and how these guys would operate / act. You know.
Hell yeah.
So
hell yeah. All right, beautiful, man. So then again, recap 4.75 from Link and I, and a perfect score of 5 out of 5 from the Stew. So let us switch gears now and move into 2014's A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night.
Sorry, I wanted to correct you to change the visuals, but you remembered. Damn it.
Oh, we're on it, baby. 2014, this one, Stu recommended. He's like, hey, you should throw this bitch into Fang Fest. I almost put this into Horror Fest blindly. Just reading reviews and honestly looking at Rotten Tomato scores and wanting to do something different. Like, I wanted to have like an elevated horror movie in our Horror Fest lineup, and I was gonna slap this one in there, and it definitely would have fit the bill. This is quite a bit more. It's in 2014, so we're deep into the elevated horror era, and it's very all about the
Art
themes.
house.
It's all it's very art house. It's all about
It's
the
Vice.
themes.
It's a Vice movie, so you know it's gonna
Yo,
be
when
full of
Vice was
itself.
still doing quality shit though, this was like I
Yeah.
noticed that when I saw Vice Productions or Vice Films, I was like, yo, bro. And then 2014, I was like, this is like around the era when Vice stopped. Like it was 2014, 2015 when they stopped being good and started. Like they used to be like they would always cover like fascinating, like you wouldn't even know shit like this exists, like, and it's a real problem, and but they'd be covering it, but then it became like bullshit. It became like a joke.
They got bought out.
But
I didn't even know they
I was
did
right.
movies. I didn't even
No,
know.
neither did I.
Yeah.
Neither did I.
I
and
think
guess
this might be like the only film.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
Because I haven't seen I haven't seen their stamp on anything else. But this is, I think they could have really done something with it because like Link said, they had that young punk energy. They were doing really cool on the ground journalism and spots that people were afraid to go to.
Right.
So they definitely had a whole lot of energy behind them for a while, and I definitely think they could have come up and established themselves in the same frame as like A24, like cool, a step above, like we were talking about elevated horror or thrillers or that type of shit. But I haven't seen them make anything else besides this.
It sucks because I definitely got like I was like, this would have totally fit the bill for something like A24. Like this is something they would eat up, like. Then I noticed like A24. I think that's a reason for their success. Big reason is like they focus over vision over meeting. It's like they know the movies they put out are not going to be for everybody, but if they can reach their audience, which they usually do, then it's a win.
This kind of reminds me, it's so different, but for some reason, a couple times, I saw the TV Glow kind of cross my mind. It's very different, like aesthetically and everything, but just the vibe and just like a thing that's so based on like mood and symbolism. Like this movie could totally not. I don't want to say go over your head because it's not like it's super fucking heady, but some of the elements might just pass you by. Would be a different way to put it. You might not even notice, like, oh yeah, that character's dealing with this. And that like so much of it is about symbolism. I'll be honest, man. I watched it last night. I was trying to squeeze all these in. Got all these fucking movies. I threw it on last night, and it's too late for me to put it on. I ended up not being able to even finish the thing. I had to finish it this morning, and then I watched it completely over again because I was just too late. It's really slow.
It does get slow in the second half too.
Well, even the fucking first half, I had in my notes like really slow start, and then it's like 50 minutes into it. I'm like, still pretty fucking slow. And then it's over. I'm like, oh, okay. And like this is the type of movie that this is what like a second viewing serves me a lot because it is like we mentioned, like Tarantino mentioned, a story that unfolds completely opposite of Let the Right One In that we just talked about, where it's very predictable and you know where it's going to go. Not that I'm mad at it for it, but in this one, you have no idea where it's going to go. Like it keeps me like, oh, this is what we're doing. Oh, okay. Like the dad is like the focus, or like this hooker. Like you didn't like all these moments. I did not realize where it was going to go. But on a second viewing, knowing where the end game was, I got on board with it way more and just connected to the characters. Because if you're not connecting to the characters, you're missing out a lot on this because that's what it's like 100% about. But for those that haven't seen it, it's an Iranian film, and the director and writer, whose name is Anya Lily Amapour. It says she's in the movie, but I've never seen her in the movie, but she looks exactly like the vampire in the movie. Confused the fuck out of me. But she was born in the UK. Her parents are Iranian, and then she moved to the States. She went to high school and college in the States. So that's why like the movie has it's mostly Iranian actors. It's set in Iran, but it has like this Western.
It's shot very
it's labeled on Amazon Prime as a horror Western. And it's like it feels like the music feels like it's out of a some of the music feels like it's out of a Tarantino, like Django Unchained kind of a thing.
Even the 80s pop that they kind of laced throughout it, and it would make it kind of explain his whole, because I was getting, like I told you guys backstage, heavy Marlon Brando, James Dean vibes from our main dude.
Totally.
And it would make sense why he's emulating that. Like this is very a rebel without a cause vibe. It's like it's almost
I've seen someone take a picture and have an image of James Dean, and they put it next to the first image that we see of Ashar, which is the dude's name.
Mhm.
And it's like it's pretty much she was doing it on purpose. It's the white
Yeah.
t-shirt and the jeans and the pose, and it's just like
Yeah.
it's like I told you guys backstage, it was the most uncomfortable, unexplainable boner I've ever had in my fucking life. I was like, I don't know how.
Dude is a stud, man. She said she wrote that role or all these roles specifically for these actors and actresses.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like she had that guy in mind the whole time.
It's just the fact that it's a female director and like the eye candy in the movie is him. It's not her.
Yeah.
There's no female that you're looking
No, she's gorgeous too, though.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
She's covered up. They never sexualized for a second.
True. Very
When-
true.
when-
Like, yeah.
When they're in the car together, I was noticing his cheekbones a little bit more than her. You know, I was like,
Totally.
oh, she's
Totally. I don't know if you guys have ever watched porn and like the guy is just a little too pretty. You're like, fuck, man, could you like quit? Get the fuck out of here?
What is it? You ever seen that Seinfeld episode where George is getting a massage from a dude and it moves?
moves.
He's like, and it moved. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
That's so funny. Oh shit. Sal saying I like the rockabilly vibes I was getting. Are we talking? Yeah, we got to be talking about this one. Yeah, SoCal Dan saying now this is one hot vampire woman, and she is. There's something about
whole cast was gorgeous.
There's something about like there's no fiercer look that you could put on a human being's face that you could put on a Middle Eastern woman's face, like just like badass, like fire behind the eyes. You guys remember, you know, like National Geographic cover, like that very famous image of that girl with the eyes. You know what I'm talking about?
You're talking about the one that was trapped underneath the water.
I'm not sure.
No, they're like bright blue. Like
okay. I know the exotic looking one.
Yeah,
there's
just some famous image, and then they found her like 30 years later and took another picture of her that I saw kind of recently. It was an old photo, like it might have been a Time magazine or
Turkish
something.
girl, yeah, that's what John.
Turkish girl, yeah, Google it.
Okay,
yeah, there's just something about that like I love, and I don't know, like there's something about like I don't know Middle Eastern feminism that is appealing, and like there's a strength behind it that is fucking unique to you. But anyway, I loved it. I thought it was a really cool movie, especially on the second watch. I was able to appreciate way more of the subtleties in the movie, the music, the look, the mood, and everything, and a lot of what is going on with the characters. It's got this. I don't know why I always want to reference Friday. It's like Friday, like Friday is the standout movie that's like a slice of life movie, but it is for me. You know what I mean? Like you feel like you live in South Central LA for a day on a certain Friday in the 90s. It takes place over a couple days, but you really just like Let the Right One In. You really feel that setting. You really feel like this little community. You're just getting glimpses of these little people. Everyone's interesting.
In their day to day.
This female vampire, just the title, A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. You're like, oh, I hope she's okay. It's like this is like it flips that on its head, and like the girl walking home alone at night is this vampire. She's out there prowling the streets, and it's more or less it's one half a revenge flick, but we don't know what she's revenging, which is interesting. She's after toxic masculinity, or maybe just toxicness in general. She's doing the Dexter thing where she's testing people, and then she kills them after that. And then it's the other part is like we said, it's connection. It's these lonely souls that have found each other, and it's everybody in the movie is lonely and reaching out for connection. The prostitute, the dad, both these two that we see. But Link.
Oh, I didn't really take it as revenge. I almost thought like this was like a cool spin on like she's like a vampire superhero. Because notice she never killed anybody she kills in this movie is someone who doesn't deserve it. Everyone's kind of deserve it. We're assaulting somebody or we're a pig that
the only reason I say revenge, like it plays like a revenge horror flick where it's this female going around killing bad toxic men.
Yeah.
But in those movies, we see that girl gets raped in the opening act. This we don't know. Like it could just be because of her affliction. She's got to kill people, so she's doing the Dexter thing. And she's killing people that deserve it, or she has a vendetta against men. She
feels like Silent Avenger for you know, I think so many women who have been abused, and you know, I think she's a big voice for a lot of women in
Right.
Iranian culture. But yeah,
Right. Well, you offered
And
this one up, Stu.
no, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Like,
Oh no, I was gonna say the backstory I created for her in my head was like, especially because she's like listening to I figured she like got turned in like the 80s, you know, and like, you know, comic books were big back then. And she was like maybe read comic books and was like, this is me, because I was like, oh, she's a superhero vampire, you know, like because you know, she even with the kid, it's like she was
right.
just
Yes.
Yeah.
they and not to spoil, not to go too far ahead, it's like
Do it. Go.
she was just trying to instill a lesson more so like they made it seem like she's stalk and prey at first, but it was just she's trying to instill a lesson like you shouldn't be out this late at night, like, you know,
Right.
type shit. So what
I think.
if you're a good boy? Oh, cool.
Well, it's like, well, no, I mean, it's just to add on what you're saying. It's like she knows that environment is conducive to create pieces of shit, and she's seen it for years.
Right. Okay.
So she's like,
Okay.
"Hey, bro, you're out here, you're alone in the streets. You probably don't have the greatest guidance. Let me growl at you a little bit." And that's like one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
I did, yeah, because it like at first you're like, nah, she's not gonna feed on the kid, right? And then like she starts fucking with him, you're like, oh, she's just fucking with him, and then she gets up in his ear, and you're like, oh. He's like, what's he say? I'll take out your eyes and feed them to the dogs. I was like, talk your shit, girl.
And he's good at it too. He doesn't do much, but he's good.
I love later. Then I'm gonna totally. I'm sorry, dude. I'm getting way too ahead. But
Wait, go ahead,
it goes back to the little kid later when homeboy finds his dad dead by the, you know, clearly by the vampire or whatever. And there's that moment where he looks at the kid, little kid's like, fuck your ass gonna do now? See, like I told you, like, you know, we got this problem and you got too close to her. Like now what you gonna do? Like there's all that communicated without saying a word. I just love that. That kid is just like just trying to make his way, and yeah, man, definitely like the worst version of Santa Claus for him.
That's one thing both these movies do. And again, I hate to just keep saying this, like generalizing, but like foreign films in general, like they say so much without saying as many things. Like there's so much more said with a look in both these movies than in most of the movies that we talk about. There's a moment at the end of the movie where he knows everything that's happened. He knows that this vampire woman that he's in love with killed his father. And he steps outside the car and he sits there and he's like thinking for a minute. And this is another moment where like it gives the viewer time to like contemplate his situation and be like, what the fuck would I do? This super hot chick that just killed your dad. She's a vampire. You know what I mean? There's a lot going on. It communicates so much, and just it gives it a couple moments to do it. That a lot of films, like a lot of Hollywood films, wouldn't take that time. They're always afraid they're going to lose the audience. We got to like throw some sparkles in their face.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, just the intro scene of homeboy walking into town, they set the stage so much for the desolate kind of hopelessness, like all those bodies in the ravine. Like when you're first watching that scene, you see that little ravine with all those bodies in it.
Crazy.
That first time you're like, are those bodies? Like what the fuck is going on here?
Right.
And how they like all those oil derricks, man, like just like everything felt like it was feeding off the land, right? And just regurgitating it back out. Like we said with Let the Right One In, like atmosphere, setting, such a strong character in this one.
Well, what I was gonna say about the drills, you remember, this is really interesting. Back in Martin, when we watched Martin, there's the church. The church is kind of vamping off of the people, like taking the city's falling apart, but the church is still siphoning money out of the people there. And in this one, we've got these drills that are sucking fluids out of the earth. So it's like the government or like these bigger entities that are vamping off of the ground, and it's putting all this pollutants in the air, and it's just fucking uglying up the landscape. You know what I mean? And if you look, that's money. You're seeing in the background just people making billions or millions and billions of dollars. A lot of fucking oil. I feel pretty good saying billions, and then all these poor people around it. So it's like, it's not like they like really like connect it. Just like in Martin, it's just like in the background, this background theme, just like the addiction, the dad, it's never like really connected in, but vampirism is like addiction. Like they're addicted to blood. And so I think there's that theme there that's just sitting there that you can ponder on for a bit.
Yeah. And like the only one you see really living good in this is homeboy who's a drug dealer. You know, he's got the super nice, like gated apartment with all the super flashy stuff in it. And pretty much everybody else you see is living in squalor.
Yeah.
not great situations. So
Hell yeah. Well, Stu, I mean, since again you offered this one up, I know you've said quite a bit already, but any overall thoughts you'd like to throw at us?
I just, yeah, it's incredible, man. Such a great stylized movie. I love the spaghetti western soundtrack. There's
This
so
is
many.
comic booky, just to interrupt you. That's comic booky. The fact that
Yes,
Bad
it's so
City.
good, right?
And also, before I forget, yes, comic books were big in the 80s. You know what else was big? The Hamburglar. That's why she wears that. That's why she wears that. The Hamburglar.
Yeah, and it's like,
on.
I love how you learn the name of the city when, like, he comes stumbling out of that party or whatever, and we're in that surreal neighborhood. Like, why does that neighborhood look so nice compared to everything else we've seen so far? Like, it's just, it's so wild to me.
That's a good point.
It almost felt like a fever dream at that point. But
Well,
yeah,
I think
man,
he lived in
go ahead.
the ghettos or the bad parts. Because you know, remember when he stole those earrings at the beginning? That girl was
Yeah.
like in a
Yeah.
very posh place. So I think he was just like, especially because he's taking care of his addict father. I think he was just like down on his luck and struggling while, you know, trying to make it, taking random jobs to make ends meet. But there, you know, there were people that have nicer
Right.
areas.
I wonder if they ever alluded to what business they were a part of. Are they part of the government? Are they part of the oil industry?
Ooh,
The rich family whose house they were at. I wonder if
Yeah.
that's ever mentioned, or if it's just like that there are rich people. There's people making,
I,
because there are. I googled it and like tried to look into like the Middle Eastern countries that the people are profiting the most off of having oil, and Iran is towards the bottom of that list. There's some of them that it's like fucking great. It's working well for everyone. Iran is, there's more the fuck is the word for it? There's shady shit going on.
Privatized
Corruption. Corruption is
Yeah.
the word.
corruption. Wow,
But
that's. I kind of assumed there was like, you know, one of her parents kind of part of orchestrating, you know, kind of oversaw the drilling and stuff
right,
like that.
probably. I think it's just left for you to like kind of assume that. But yeah.
Yeah.
Stu, do you have more? You want me?
No, what did you guys think about the vampire and like just the way I just love the way she carried herself and the way she moved. I love like the mimic stalking kind of thing she did with that one old guy. But yeah, I thought she was. What did you guys think about just her compared to our child vampire in the movie before?
I loved it. I really liked this movie. It was my first time watch for me. I'm a very visual person, so this appealed to me, and this is almost a movie you could watch without dialogue, and you could still kind of pick up on
both
things.
of these almost. Like I felt like Let the Right One In. You could have just like almost like you know what I mean? There's so little dialogue. Usually when we do these foreign films, there's some that you're like, you're you know, right off the way back, you're like, okay, I'm gonna have to fucking read and really focus. This, you're like, not at all. You barely even notice that it's in a foreign language because there's so little dialogue. Yeah.
It's very well, if I don't know the word, but it kind of reminded me of like a Calvin Klein commercial. You know, it just kept it's like
totally
in the hallway.
Yeah,
So,
it was super cool like that. Absolutely.
I was something I did like her as a vampire. She's, like I said, she's a superhero. But I liked the sound in this movie. I noticed a lot when they were outside, or like when people are walking, or you know, there's like a when you can hear the wind blowing in the background and not shit out. Shit, there was one other thing I was gonna say. Tied into sound. I lost it. I'll come back. But you know, I really did think this was like a really cool movie, and I heard about this movie for years, but I was always kind of put off. I was like, oh, it's black and white. I became kind of like a lazy reader for a couple years, so I was like, oh, I gotta read some shit. But I saw this, and I'm like, man, I'm mad I missed out on this for so long. Like this was a really cool film. I didn't know, isn't it based off a graphic novel, or did they do it?
They did this was interesting. They did like a follow-up series to this. Not a follow-up. It goes back and it tells her backstory, which is cool. She's another one. We know very little about her backstory, most of her motivations and shit. But yeah, it's only 2 issues, and I think it was just digital, and it was the writer-director that wrote it. Pretty sure.
Interesting. I want to check that out.
Yeah, me too, for sure.
Yeah. Thought this was this one I think is kind of showcases the two character. Maybe it's because they're both just around the same age that it's like it's not so weird that they're gonna grow. They've kind of did, and it really was like it wasn't like he did have it's like the Oscar was kind of just like a disturbed kid. Maybe his parents could have cared a little bit more, but it's not. He didn't really have it's not like his parents hated him or treated him like shit. They could have been a little bit more involved or active.
Right.
But like
he had bully issues, he had parent issues, but nothing out of the normal.
Yeah. This one, his dad was really holding him back, our main dude. Like his family, once in a way, her doing that to his dad kind of was like doing him a favor and lifting a burden off of him.
There's a moment earlier in the movie, the dad says, I wrote this down, but I fucking lost it. The dad says something along the lines of, he says, I should die and leave you in peace. And the son's reaction is, drink your water first. He's giving him some water, but he sets it up. It's like, yeah, if I was gone, you would be way better off. And that's a pretty deep thing. That's a real thing to a lot of people. You've got this familial weight that's fucking your life up. And that, like, if they were just gone, your life would be better. And that's
it sounds like he's not the only one too. Like, when before he kicks the bucket, like he's getting that other young girl high on heroin, and this guy's a fucking mess, man.
He's the biggest piece of shit in the movie, kind of.
Yeah,
right. He's worse than the drug dealer. He's definitely worse than the vampire. He's kind of the worst, like most horrific moment of this movie is when he's trying to shoot up that prostitute with heroin.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
no, kind of the big bad.
The drug dealer was just being more of a manipulative asshat, where he wasn't forcing her against her will. He was just being a dick. The dad was forcing himself. But speaking of the drug dealer, this is what I was meant to say earlier, tied in with the sound. I really loved the scene where they had the drug dealer talking to the girl, because like it's like this music kicks in, like this kind of like edgy music kicks in, like as he's being a predator towards her. Then we cut to the shot of like the camera pulling back to the car, and you see our girl is standing there watching them, and it's like, oh shit, she's the predator is being watched by another predator. He's but another predator's got him as prey. I just thought that was a cool audio cue, just because it's like he trying to, he thought he was preying on someone when really he was being preyed on.
There's a couple. The music in general is fire, and you mentioned just like the wind and like the background noise, but you're right, like some of the audio cues tell so much of the story. Like we'll jump to the end again. After he has that little moment outside of the car and he's contemplating what he's going to do, he comes and sits in the car, and the fucking cat looks right at the camera. It's like, how did you train that cat to do that? That was awesome. Fucking
killer. The cat was so great. The cat had so many like great moments. Honestly,
he's probably the best character in either of these movies. Man. The cat was fire. But then he reaches across, and so we know what's going on. The look on her face says he's debating on whether or not he wants to deal with my shit. He's going to accept my baggage and carry it with me. And then he reaches over, he pulls the tape out, and he puts it in, and the music says, fuck yeah. The music's like, fuck yeah, let's do this. It's like something about it. And then she just gets this really like slight smile on her face. And that tells you the end of the movie. It's like they're going to go out and they're going to fucking kill a bunch of people and listen to fire music.
I love that like super slow look towards each other. Like, insane. Like when he gets back in the car and like, the cat rape.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the earlier one.
Oh no, the dude, that scene too is crazy. That's like, and that's the most sexual it gets between those. Excuse me.
Yeah,
that's the most sexual it gets between those two. Is like, she's got her bare shoulder there in the light, and like, that build up. But dude, that song was so fire though. That music was so good.
I watched it last night, and I wasn't as into. I was honestly, I was thinking to myself like, I'll have to tell Link that this scene reminded me of In a Violent Nature, because it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, get to it. Like, it's just dragging on. And then I watched it today, and I had heard someone mention, I listened to the Evolution of Horrors podcast on this, and they didn't mention this scene specifically, but they mentioned like the Nosferatu nods. They felt like there were certain nods to Dracula 1931, like when she's skateboarding in the fog in one scene. They're like, oh, that's like when Bela Lugosi is walking through the streets in the fog. But they just mentioned like, oh, and they play with shadows at times. But if you look close at like the shadows on their faces in those moments, it's in slow motion, and they're like their eyes are being revealed. And then when he turns around, it puts her face slowly into shadow and then reveals it. I don't know. There's something like really, really fucking dramatic if you give that scene time. Because if you're not, you're like, Jesus Christ, what is happening? But it is. It's like amazing.
Yeah.
Revealing herself to him in a sense, you know, like symbolically.
Very true.
And then you think she's gonna eat his fucking suck his soul out of his neck. He's got, first of all, he's got the longest neck ever, and he's got the most protruding Adam's apple, like most like.
Bro is just like bro is giving himself to God, dude. He's just like take it.
It's so sensual the way that she
like burrows herself in his
when she does that, his eyes open up, like it's like, oh, like just like he's being touched in a sensual way, and it's like hitting him so hard. Like it sells the whole movie. Everything that's going on with her loneliness and longing for connection, and her maybe wanted to fucking eat his neck. Like, yeah, it's all right there in that scene. It's so cool.
Do you think it was like love at first sight when she came down the steps of that drug dealer's apartment and he was out there? Because wasn't that the first time they saw each other, or was it before that? Because I was like, man, well, these two do have they've seen each other. They kind of know. Like, I don't know. It felt like it was love at first sight, and then.
When she sees him, like for one of his like characteristics is vulnerability. He's a very vulnerable guy, but when she sees him, when they talk for the first time, he's on ecstasy, and he's at his most vulnerable moment of probably his entire life. Yeah, and like there's something like the movie, like it has a couple moments where it's funny, and that's one of them where like you see her, and then it flashes to him dressed as Dracula, looking like that, and it's like there's something so comical.
He takes his teeth out. It's so great. Like I love that. It's like a standoff, and
I think that was the scene where she finds him coming home from the party, and that where she kind of, because it almost felt like she was contemplating like attacking him at first for a meal, but it's like he had done a few things during the course of that conversation, like, you know, he was talking to her, but then he went out of his way to like, don't worry, I'm not going to hurt you. He wasn't like overly assertive or aggressive like his father or the drug dealer. Like he was overly polite, like, you know, not he's like, you don't got to worry about me. You know, even if you weren't worried about me, you don't got to worry about me. And he kind of, I don't know. I felt like
cape around her.
Yeah. He was like, because she was cold, and he was like, you know, so I felt like she was a Dexter. You know, she had to do it for a reason. She tried to make sure the people who became her victims had, you know, they were deserving of it, and he obviously wasn't deserving of it. He's just like a nice guy trying to just do the good thing in the world. So I don't know what made her really, because there was like when she was like when he turned his back and she like walked up right next to him, you know, there was like a look in her eyes that's where I felt like she was really captivated by him, but I don't know what the turn was. Maybe it's because he had been to her.
I think it's what you mentioned, the fact that he wraps his cape around her because she's cold, and then he's like, let's sit down. And there's something about like what's more vulnerable than him standing, him sitting, and it's like he just wants to sit there, and like there's something about his sexiness, his vulnerability in that exact moment. We mentioned the music, the fucking style is crazy.
Yeah,
we mentioned the oil. We mentioned a lot of things. The car. Here's one thing that I picked up on a second viewing. I feel like, first of all, this is a cool car. I don't know what it is. I'm not a car guy, but it's a cool one. And like his dad mentions at one point, he's kind of like in a drugged out state. He's like, we should go driving in a convertible. How cool would that be? So that kind of tells you like, oh, the convertible isn't even his dream. It's his dad's dream, which is kind of like showing you how important his father was to him. Like, here's another thing. How long ago do you think the mom died? Because how long has the dad been a piece of shit? Because the dad says to the prostitute, like, let's spend time together like we did back in the day, in the old days, which sounds like a long fucking time ago. So it's like, were you banging prostitutes while you were still married? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I kind of, because they let you put it together how you want it essentially, but I kind of took it as like, because the way our James Dean dude kept looking at the pictures of his parents when they were married. Like, it's like maybe the mom passed when he was a teenager, maybe come with 12, 13, because it was long enough for, obviously this has been a problem with his dad for a few years, but it wasn't like, obviously looking at his mom, he had an emotional effect. I mean, anybody would, no matter how much time has passed when, if you lose a parent or a loved one, but it didn't seem like he was the time had passed enough where he was numb to it. Like it was still kind of like a fresh thing for him, in a sense. So I assume maybe maybe he had been dealing with it for like 10 years, a decade, like 24,
This is a
25.
good point, Sal. I like this because I hadn't really thought of it until like this, but that's her being like super vulnerable, letting him pierce her ears. There's something really vulnerable about that, and just like not the opposite of the strong, fierce, murderous vampire. Just like, oh, go ahead, poke me, penetrate me. Yeah, that's cool. All right, let's rate this bad boy and get about this bitch, man. We'll go the other way around, Stu. Why don't you kick it out for us? What are you gonna give A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night? You guys in the chat, if you've seen it, let me know what you're giving it out of 5.
I'm gonna go 4.5 out of 5 on this one. Just a little bit slow in some parts, but other than that, I think it's such a great piece of art, and the film in general, man. I think it homages so many classic genres of cinema, and just has outstanding moments, performances, soundtrack, cinematography. So 4.5 out of 5.
Hell yeah.
Great scheduling for a I know I said it to you in the back chat, but this has been an awesome Fang Fest and a great ending. So
thank you. Well, I'm glad you offered it up, because I think it's a perfect pairing. It's a perfect pairing. Like both these movies end in the same way. You've got these two lovers. They're going to go on. One's a vampire. The female's a vampire. The boy isn't. We don't know where they're going to go from here.
Yeah, that's so true.
It's so cool, man. And it's just, both of them were great. But hell yeah, a 4 from the Stu. Where you at on it, Link?
I watched this earlier today, first time. I loved it, man. I definitely appreciated how feel to it. I loved what they were doing with like it's very, you could take a lot of the shots from here in this movie, and you could probably just hang it up and it'd be like this artsy looking, like I love that.
How about when he's right after his car is stolen, he's punched that fucking brick wall, and it shows this shot from above with him sitting on the curb in the alley. There's something about that.
That reminded me of that.
I was gonna say her on the skateboard, which somebody else mentioned earlier, like that. Like,
when she's going down the street.
Yeah, when she's on the street, like she goes up and she's like completely like a shadow at one point, and then she like reaches her hand out or something. So when she's following the prostitute down the street, you got that side view. You're right, man. There's so many like photographs that you could take out and hang out of your wall. So many stills.
Oh, you know what? It's a random scene, but just speaking of where she's like just playing on a skateboard, and she's got like, we're seeing a back shot of her, and she's like sliding from the brick wall, and we just see her and the skateboard kind of going back and forth. A lot of great shots.
You just made me think of something. There's something so modern about her too. That's what makes me wonder how long she's been a vampire. If you look at her, the wall, first of all, she's riding a skateboard. She's dressed as the fucking Hamburglar. If you look on the walls of her place where she lives, there's concert tickets and shit. And there's like pop culture stuff, like, movie posters and stuff in the background. That's cool. She's like still like in pop culture as a vampire.
That's why I felt like she like got taken. She was like an 80s teen, and just that shit just stayed with her forever. But
it does. Like the Madonna, apparently, like the Madonna, that was like another woman that she painted or used for that, and used in a piece of art for that Madonna cover that you keep seeing in the background.
Is that what it is? The really colorful one with the short blonde hair?
It's supposed to be like an homage to a Madonna cover, and like all the pieces of 80s.
That's 80s, cool.
Like pop.
That's dope. Like that. Yeah, no, it makes sense. But great cast. But I definitely appreciate that it. I don't know. It is a slower movie, but I almost feel like let the right one in. I know this is a slower movie, but I feel like Let the Right One In is slower still in a sense.
It's a half hour longer, or 25 minutes longer, so I can
but
see
there's
that.
like more on and Let the Right One In
Right.
for it that
Punctuated by these big moments and shit.
Yeah, this one is a lot of like, even though it's an hour 30, it's a lot of like linger. They probably could have trimmed it, but I don't want them to trim it. I loved the linger. I loved it. It's just a great film. Surprise for me. Like I said earlier, I'm mad it took so long for me to check this out. I'm actually gonna give this one a 5, bro.
Hell yeah,
dude. Hell yeah, dude.
I love that because like I try to, we've been doing these for a while now. We've reviewed a lot of movies together, the three of us, and I thought you wouldn't like this, honestly. Especially when I watched it last night, I'm like, fucking Link's gonna hate this artsy shit. So I love that you because I'm gonna give it a 4. You liked it better than everyone. I fucking love that, man. But I think I would be a little bit higher on it if it just gave a few more moments. Like it's pretty like not that you have to have like this really like intricate plot, but the plot is very paper thin, and like not a lot happens, which is cool. I just could have had like a couple more like standout crazy moments, but the character stuff and the performances and it's all about the look of the movie and the look of the movie, the sound of the movie, and the feel of the movie. Like it's a vibe all day long. So definitely. Hell yeah, man! I love how much Link. You got me wanting to fucking revisit it even again. To be honest with you,
hell yeah.
So, a 5 from Link. We got a 4.5 from Sal. A 4 from Johnny Recap says, "I wonder how much context we're missing without deep knowledge of the culture." I'm curious about that too, and I tried to look into this like a little bit, and the fact that she's not. I mean, her parents are from Iran, but she's an outsider telling this story. So I don't know how much, you know what I mean? She's an American pretty much. She's from the UK and she lived most of her life in America.
I heard she wrote the script in Farsi though, or something like that, like the original. Like so, she's
what's
still
that?
Very,
where's
like,
that?
I guess the native tongue to.
I'm like,
she wrote it. She wrote it.
Farsi?
I want to say she wrote it in English, and that language. I forget. I saw like a week ago, I watched the interview with her and the main actress. I think Vice did it to promote the film, but she talked about like how much hell that was writing in 2 different languages. I don't know what the point for that was, what her reasoning was behind doing that, but
I could see it just like she wanted it to feel more authentic.
Maybe be available to read in that language for people over there.
Right.
I don't know.
Just put yourself in that mindset. Just like you know what I mean? Like live in the culture a little bit. Language, I mean, I speak one fucking language, so I'm talking out of my ass, but I've heard, you know what I mean? It's so important to a culture. There's certain ideas, like people that are bilingual, they'll be speaking English, they'll be like, I gotta get this point across. I need this language to really sell this point. So I don't know. Maybe there's something there. But hell yeah, man. Hell motherfucking yeah. A 4 from me and Stu, a 5 from the missing Link.
4.5 from me.
4.5 from I give this thing I was between a 4 and a 4.25, but I guess I'll land on a 4. Next Thursday, Big Stu is not going to be able to make it. He's going to be hanging out.
Well, I think I am. Because John and I had to reschedule, so I think I'm back in.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe we didn't need to do a double feature, but we fucking are anyway, because I didn't know that. So next week, Link picked out Warm Bodies. Love it. Fucking love it, which is a perfect way.
Classic.
I feel like it's a perfect way to start February on a romantic note.
It is a great February choice.
And then there's a pretty good little love story also in Werewolves Within, which is a 2021. It's like a horror comedy werewolf slasher mystery. Who done it? So it's got a touch of Scream in there. Have you seen it?
Yeah, was that Homeboy from Detroiters right there?
Yes.
Oh, I'm in. I'm so in.
It's fun. Like, I don't want you guys to think like it's great, but it's fun. There's something. I went and saw it in the theater and I liked it, but it's like it's not nothing special. And I watched it again at home and I liked it. And there's just something about me that I'm looking forward to watching it again. And I think
I did see this. I seen it when it first came out as well, and it didn't really resonate with me. I didn't hate it, but it's a movie I don't feel like I maybe gave a chance because I can't remember too much about it, you know. So it'll almost be like a another rewatch, right? Or I've seen it through a different lens since I've become a
Right.
horror vet in the last 2 years.
What? Watch. I'll watch it. I'll be the one that's like, this fucking sucks. What was my third time watch? It's just a cute film. It's funny. Like it's a good time. I mean, I went to the theater and definitely my wife enjoyed it as well.
Hey, so that's let's be honest. Warm Bodies is not perfect, but it's cute. It's fun, bro. You know, it's takes a fun. It's got a good energy to it. But I could see how a lot of people would be like, man, it's not for me. I've heard
I love it.
like a.
I've heard people that don't like it either. It's one I watched on a whim once upon a time, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to watching that again too. Sal saying I was surprised by the drag character too. I'm guessing that's not allowed in Iran. It was random.
It was random shit. I would have liked to have seen more of that character because I like the look, like, and I liked all the cowboy gear and stuff. But like that scene was so random. Whenever
it reminded me.
Is this a second uncomfortable, awkward boner that we're discussing on this stream or no?
It reminded me of American Beauty, where how he had the fucking balloon, and I was just like, oh, the bag, the fucking balloon. Okay.
And then Sunday, Steph and I will get together at 1:00 Central Time for 2 Shudder originals. Grafted came out last week or maybe the week before. It's got 4 skulls. I haven't heard much, but I've heard good things. I've heard people say like, fuck, you got to check out Grafted. It's a body horror, good, clean fun. And then Dark Match comes out tomorrow. It's labeled as it's a horror action film. It's going to drop on Shudder tomorrow. It's got Chris Jericho, and it's a wrestling. What? Yeah. I have
ready
no
to
idea.
Talk some shit about this.
Yeah, I know. For some reason, I'm just expecting it to be fun. I've been calling it a horror comedy, but I don't know if it is. It doesn't say it. I just assume, like, I hope it's a fucking horror comedy. It seems
even
like
if the movie's not fun, the conversation definitely will.
I guarantee.
I feel like this is gonna rip off Daniel Warren Johnson's Do It Power Bomb.
Oh, I hope so. Please.
Like they're gonna have to go down to hell and
please
wrestle their way out. Yeah.
Are either of you guys with me on Monday? I'll be on PCP movie night Monday. There. You both will?
Not there.
Oh, I thought you said it too.
Yeah,
I've never seen this.
Neither have I, dude. I'm hyped.
This is Martin Scorsese's first film, Mean Streets, from 1973.
Is this the one
I don't know if he's in it or not, bro. Honestly,
was Raging Bull the first time they teamed up?
No, he did a Taxi Driver with him in 75.
Oh no, that's okay. That's what.
So it has Robert De Niro, Harvey Keitel. So it's got like the Scorsese boys from the early days, Harvey Keitel and Robert De Niro. So yeah, I'm super excited for that, man. It's got super high ratings. I hear about it all the time. Heard about it my whole life. So super excited for that. Not as excited as I am for Aching Insights every Wednesday night. Tell the people about it, Stu.
Yeah, every Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, either on the Dr. Doom's fan club channel or on 9-Panel Grid. Me and my boy E talking our favorite new releases from the previous week: Marvel, DC, Image, and the Indies.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah. And then I got surrounded by short boxes dropping every week. This is just me going over my favorite back issues from the personal collection and what I love about them so much. So, got episode 5 coming out soon. Doing a little Darwin Cook New Frontier this week. So
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, man. I'm talking about. Keep your eyes peeled.
Hell yeah, Mr. Link, missing Link. What's your IG handle? Tell the people what you're doing online.
It is missing Link _comics. Just randomly posting shit, cool shit. Even if it's random, it's cool. So
yeah,
all the cool shit is random in my fucking book. In my book, hell yeah! All you people in the chat, Dr. Doom's Flan Club, you sexy son of a bitch. Johnny Recaps, Sal, appreciate you as always. SoCal Dan, you son of a bitch. Appreciate you guys, man. You guys have been fantastic tonight. My brother Easy. You know I love you. You know I appreciate you. Christina Payne, appreciate you as well as per usual. Josiah, the chillest guy. He said what's up, and then he said no more. He said no more. He said no more.
He's super chill.
He's the chillest guy I've ever fucking met, dude. Hell yeah, man. All right, you guys are awesome. I love the shit out of you. Again, next Thursday, Warm Bodies, Werewolves Within, but before that, a Shudder double feature on Sunday at 1. Hell, mother trucking, yeah. All right, you guys are the shit. We're about this bitch. We'll see you on Sunday.
Children of the night. What music they make.